Kentucky Democratic Governor Andy Beshear. And Governor, it's great to talk to you again. And when you hear Steve lay this out, that the Trump campaign is essentially giving up on New Hampshire after when it was Biden, they thought they could possibly win it. And now looking at losing it by even more than Trump lost it last time around. What does that tell you about the current state of this race?
It tells me that all of the momentum is with Vice President Harris. When she became the nominee, which she won not through a coronation, but through acclamation, she created so much energy, so much fundraising, so many new volunteers. It carried through the Democratic National Convention, which was pure joy, one of the most exciting conventions that I think many people have ever seen. And now you see it continuing after. You see a focused campaign where the vice president is focused on people's everyday lives, tax cuts for the middle class, more affordable housing, looking at everyone and saying, I care about you. And then you see former President Trump, who is reeling, who is for an issue and then against it and then for it and then against it again.
Yeah.
And now you start seeing the political ramifications of that.
I want to talk about one of those issues in a moment, but first, when you talk about Harris, and you didn't use the word setting a new agenda, but when you talk about the enthusiasm, that enthusiasm did not exist when Biden was at the top of the ticket. And of course, they are the president and vice president for the very policies that voters did not seem excited about when they were Biden's. And yesterday we saw Harris and Biden side by side. It was their first joint campaign appearance since she officially became the nominee. He's expected, we understand, to be out on the trail more often. Democratic strategist James Carville writes a new op-ed, Governor. He says that Harris will be in a stronger position to beat Trump if she breaks with Biden on policy. He says for Ms. Harris to break from Biden more explicitly than she has done so far would not be an insult. Rather, it shows even more sharply that she's passionate about her own ideas and represents change rather than more of the same. Do you think that she needs to break with the President of the United States, with whom she has been a partner for the past 3.5 years, and say that her ideas are different, as Carville writes out?
Well, James Carville is a great friend and a great strategist. What I think he's saying is that when you are vice president, you have to support the president's agenda. But she's not going to be the vice president anymore. She is running to be president of the United States. And I think it's as simple as letting Kamala be Kamala. She has her own views. We are all different, even if we've been a part of an administration, even if we're in the same political parties. We all have different nuances, different ways that we were raised, different things that we feel more passionately about. I think it could even be just an issue of, say, focus. When you look at President Biden's economic plan, it was about long-term sustainability. It was about chips, and it was about EVs, places we know the economy is going. It was about reshoring our supply chain, things that need to happen for our long-term economic viability.
Yeah.
You look at Vice President Harris's plan, and it's more about right now. How can we help you get by right now to take advantage of that growing economy?
Right. Even though, of course, chips and the threat from China on that is a massive issue, as I know the vice president believes, as does Trump. In a new interview, he spoke out on an issue, and I wanted to bring this up to you, Governor, because it's an issue that matters a lot to voters, a lot of independent voters, and certainly a lot of center-left voters. And this is marijuana. He wants to loosen restrictions on it, he says now, and he is praising the benefits of medical marijuana. Here he is.
Medical marijuana has been amazing. We can live with the marijuana. It's got to be a certain age. Got to be a certain age to buy it. It's got to be done in a very concerted, lawful way.
So, Governor, he's talking about medical marijuana, but then recently, I don't know if you saw this, but he signaled a support for state laws that allow adults to carry, quote, personal amounts of marijuana. Personal. Now that fits with 88% of adults in the U.S. who think marijuana should be legal for medical or recreational use. That's the latest Pew poll from earlier this year. Look, I know you support medical marijuana. I don't know where you stand, Governor, on personal amounts of marijuana, but he says he supports it. Do you think that that's an issue where he could peel votes away from Democrats?
Well, I don't think he can, because the vice president has been a leader on this issue. She has been out there on rescheduling, which is the decriminalization of marijuana, so much so that I've joined her for a couple of events Who would have ever thought that the vice president, the governor of Kentucky, and Fat Joe would be in the same press conference talking about this issue and where the American people are and what they deserve. But listen, Donald Trump doesn't have any real views on issues. He's for whatever he thinks can get him back into power and that gives him power. So just like on his ever-shifting position on abortion, he'll probably come out for this, then he'll get pushed back, he'll be against it, then maybe he'll be half for it, and then he'll probably be against it again.
All right, well, Governor Beshear, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me again.
Thank you.
All right, and Kamala Harris's sister has been by her